Hi fam, welcome back. This is Chris's Chop House. Today we're making red velvet cake. Near Christmas, so you gotta have it. It is a staple at the table or just generally around the house during the holidays. Something you can munch on when you want something sweet. So today we're making it. We're gonna garnish it with toasted walnuts on the top, not on the inside. And we're gonna do the white chocolate around the sides, okay? So I think you're gonna love it. Let's get into the ingredients. So, this is what you need for the cake, okay? For the cake, we got pre-sifted cake flour and high quality cocoa powder. We have some less processed granulated sugar, buttermilk. I've mixed in the vanilla extract. You want high quality vanilla extract. Please don't use the imitation. We're going to use a neutral oil. So this is a canola oil. You can use grapeseed oil. You can use vegetable oil. It needs to be a neutral flavored oil. We have butter, baking soda and salt. You have egg yolks, or 4 eggs separated, okay? You want the yolks separated from the whites, and then just a teaspoon of vinegar, okay? Exact amounts are gonna be in the description below. Let's make some cake. In a bowl, you're gonna add in your cocoa, your flour, your baking soda, salt, and your sugar, and mix it thoroughly. Reserve off to the side. In a mixer, you're gonna add in your butter and just start, and this is softened butter, and you'll start to mix that. Start to slowly blend in your egg yolks. Okay, we're gonna slow it down, stop it, and start to scrape the sides of the bowl to make sure we're getting a good mix. I'm adding in the vinegar now. We'll slow it down and start to slowly drizzle in the neutral oil. Don't worry if it starts to look kind of chunky, it will eventually blend together. Scrape down the bowl again. You're going to scrape down the bowl multiple times in this process. Okay, I'm adding my first bit of dry mix. We're going to do this in thirds, so we'll let that blend. Slow it down. Here we go, we're going to add a third of the cream. There's another third of the flour. And the remainder of the cream. You do that so that way you develop as little gluten as possible within the cake. We want a nice airy cake. We are now adding in a little bit of red food coloring. I don't add much of it. I know it's not super dark red, but all that coloring is not good for you. I just put in just enough to make it red. If you like yours extra red, add more food coloring. But just know that it's not really good for you. In the mixer, we're adding in our egg whites, and we're going to beat them until they're stiff peaks. Demonstrating the stiff peak of the egg white. Now we are adding the egg whites into the cake batter. This will lighten the cake batter and make a nice fluffy cake when it's all done. You're going to fold this in, not mix it in by hand. And you're going to do it half and half.
add in half, and add another half. This batter makes 3 layers. We are only going to use 2 of the 3 layers, but I'm a cake guy, so I like the cake anyway. These are going to go into a preheated 350-degree oven for about 18 to 24 minutes. Alright, so now we're making the cream cheese frosting. It's really simple. We're going to be putting butter, cream cheese, salt, and powdered sugar in the mixer. So the first thing we'll do is we'll put in softened room temperature butter, the softened room temperature cream cheese, the salt, and mix. Once we have a fairly mixed mixture, we're going to start adding in the powdered sugar a couple of cups at a time until we mix in all the powdered sugar. If you feel that your frosting is too thick, you add in a little bit of cold milk or cold cream to loosen the mixture to your ideal frosting consistency. When the frosting is done, reserve in the refrigerator until you're ready. Okay, we have our cake on a cake stand, and I'm just the base of the cake is on a plate, a white plate. So we got the first layer of cake down. I put a nice medium amount of cake frosting in between the 2 layers, and you'll see that one cake is a little bit larger than the other. That's perfectly fine for what we're doing today. You can always add a little bit more frosting to fill in the gaps, but you're going to add your first layer of frosting on the very top and start to gently smooth that out to the edges. You see I'm using a small cake spatula, and then there is a special piping tip you see I'm using that creates a nice wide band of frosting across the sides of the cake. It just makes life a lot easier when frosting a cake. I am not a great cake froster, but I can make it happen. So if you can watch what I'm doing, I'm pretty sure you do a better job at your own home. But just take your time, evenly spread the frosting across the cake, and it's going to look beautiful. Alright, so now I'm evening out the cake with a bench scraper just to get a nice wide tool to flatten out the cake more evenly. Now I have the cake above a bowl of white chocolate chips, and I'm just using it to smash the chips onto the side of the cake. That way I don't make a mess and only use what I need to use. Alright, so now I'm going to just take some of those pieces and try to fit them into some of the gaps and make it look a little more even. Alright, once I've completed that, I take that third piece of cake, I'm going to break off some chunks of it, and I am going to break it down into crumbs.
What?
Okay, so we're going to take those cake crumbs and sprinkle them across the top. I know I said toasted walnuts earlier, but apparently there was a nut allergy in the household. So we avoided the toasted walnuts and instead used the cake crumbs as a really simple way of decorating the cake. And you know what is underneath the frosting. And here is a cut of the cake. We're doing just a traditional cut so you can see a side view of the cake. Delicious. Looks amazing. Super soft, super fluffy. I hope you make this at home and I hope you enjoy the holidays.